Welcome to the Live Ready podcast, Beyond Think and Grow Rich, with your host, David R. Ibarra. We're going to go retro this week again and listen to episode 2 of the interview between me and my brother, Mickey. This episode is called The Later Years. So without further ado, let me introduce to you my brother, Mickey Ibarra.
Live ready, reach higher, chase the sky, beyond think and grow rich, you'll learn to fly.
Thank you, David. Good to be back.
We were just here.
Yes.
We're going to talk during this episode about our careers. And what I'd like to do is start off with the first section, the early years of your career. And then we're going to move to the middle. And at the third part, we're going to talk about overdrive. We finally got everything right. Green light. Go ahead.
45-year professional career. Almost takes my breath away to realize the opportunities that I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed every one of my years. Maybe not every minute, but every day has been terrific. And I think of my teaching career, really on an early time, decided that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach. And I got that opportunity thanks to Big Bob Evans at Nebo Alternative High School and Spanish Fork, Utah. Actually hired me, offered me a job before I actually graduated. And everybody at the time had told me, you'll never get a teaching job. Well, I got one. I got one before I graduated from college. And it turned out to be a terrific experience. 3 years working with students that just weren't successful in the traditional high school. And that was wonderful. I realized early on that I was wholly unprepared for teaching the type of students that I was most interested in helping. And so I enrolled at the University of Utah in their special education program with a specialty in behavioral disorders and graduated with a master's degree to help me do a better job as a teacher. That 5 years, first 5 years of my professional career, I like to tell folks I started at the top as a teacher. And it really was a great experience for me and helped set up what came next. And the next for me was because of my engagement in my teacher union, the National Education Association, the Utah Education Association, the Nebo Education Association, because of an internship in my senior year of college at the NEA, I realized when I started teaching, man, I wanted to be a part of NEA and its state affiliate and its local affiliate. And I got very active as a teacher leader volunteer during those 5 years, which really resulted in me getting an opportunity to be asked to join the professional staff of the National Education Association.
Let me step back just a little bit, because I remember one time you invited me to come out and spend a day to see what you did for a living. And I was shocked at what went on during the class. There used to be a program about some students that were not cutting edge, top-tier students called Welcome Back Carter. And I used to laugh and think to myself, you do that every day. I watch it once a week. You do that every day. What were a couple of the posters that you had that I remember around your desk that you had pinned up?
Well, one of the things I realized in teaching was it was important and a great advantage to have a sense of humor, Keep it light, keep it smiling, and help students be lifted up. Mm-hmm. Some of these kids that I saw were torn down from the morning they got up to probably the time they tucked themselves in bed. But our job, as I felt it, was to lift them up. One of the posters I enjoyed most was one with just a stool. And it would sit right behind my desk, and it would say, the label of it was, sometimes I sits and thinks, and sometimes I just sits. and the kids got a big kick out of it. So it was a fun time.
Well, mine started out just a little bit different. As I alluded in the first episode, I started as a dishwasher while going to college. I needed just $200 more to pay my rent. I had two roommates that were dear friends of yours, David Hill and Wade Deems. I think when you moved out, I moved in.
Yes.
Took your place.
I went to the Army.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And at any rate, I needed to meet that obligation, and I thought, oh, no, this is going to be horrible. As I said, I met Mr. Farrell. He introduced me to a powerful book called Think and Grow Rich, asked me that if I would read it 3 times and be willing to be a disciple of the principles within, that he'd be my mentor. And I was all in because I was going nowhere. And ended up having an opportunity to be a trainer and getting sent all over the country to train other dishwashers, busboys. I had gone through the ranks and had been every position from a server to a host to a fountain person. And so I went about going across the country, opening new stores for Mr. Farrell. And I got lucky and at 19 years old, became an assistant manager at my first store in San Mateo, California. I recall you and Dad coming up and visiting me, and I still have the picture of the 3 of us standing in front of that ice cream parlor. And on to be a store manager and the director of training for the Western United States, and the youngest district manager for Marriott, which was Farrell's was a division of, and being assigned stores in Southern California, Utah, of all places, back to Salt Lake I go, and New Mexico, and a few other stores. And it was a wonderful experience and really taught me to have confidence in myself. And I went on to become an owner of my own Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor restaurant at just 28 years old. And I thought to myself, from a kid who was a dishwasher just 10 years ago, I really own this place? What an accomplishment.
Great story.
I'd like to move and talk about the mid-years, and I think that yours starts out with your NEA experience, and as I recall, a transfer to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yes, that's right, David. My first assignment with the National Education Association was with their state affiliate, NEA New Mexico, and particularly in Albuquerque. So I left Utah, went to Albuquerque, and spent 3 years in a position known as a UNISERV director, serving teachers. At that time, there was a great battle being waged nationally between the 2 teacher unions, the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers. Albuquerque was involved in a big battle for the allegiance of the teachers of Albuquerque between NEA and AFT, and I was a part of that battle. My gosh, in Utah, I don't believe in the 5 years I taught I ever met anybody that was a member of the AFT, but I learned a lot about all of that in Albuquerque. Was there for 3 years and caught the attention of the national staff who I had become acquainted with as a teacher leader in Utah through the Political Action Committee of the NEA and the Legislative Committee and so on. And a position opened up that I was encouraged to apply for, and I did, and lo and behold, I was hired as a political education specialist for the NEA. I moved from Albuquerque to Washington, D.C. in 1984. I'll tell you, David, I thought my ship had come in, that life would never be as good again. To be able to go to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, to be able to get paid a wage that far exceeded what I ever thought possible as a teacher, and to do what I love to do, and that was campaigns and elections and politics. Wow.
That
was a great
just
experience.
A little bit more, and then we'll end that part and save the rest for your overdrive years, green light. But tell me a little bit about your experience, because I remember you sharing it with me, that you had the opportunity to be the interviewer of presidential candidates.
Yes, the experience at the National Education Association, again, 3 in Albuquerque and then 13 at the headquarters of NEA in Washington, D.C., really serving in several positions, including the manager of campaigns and elections, which included coordinating our activities on behalf of federal candidates for office. Of course, the United States Senate, the United States House of Representatives, but also President of the United States. In 1992, the NEA was an early endorsement for Bill Clinton, Governor Bill Clinton of Arkansas, for president, when, as he once told me, there was only two people who thought he'd ever be president, himself and his mother. But the NEA believed in him, and we went after it in a big way, and I really got the opportunity. At that time, there were a number of major candidates seeking the 1992 Democratic nomination, and the NEA established a very elaborate endorsement process, which included a video interview with each of the major candidates. And that was a part of our evaluation of whether they were worthy of endorsement of the NEA. And to be able to have a front row seat at those interviews and to meet those candidates was really quite astonishing to me. And to get paid for it on top of all of that. But it really resulted in an endorsement for Bill Clinton early on, and that is where I really engaged in presidential politics in a much more significant way, serving as a lead campaigner for the NEA with the Clinton for President campaign.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember you sharing it with me, and it was just so unthinkable that one of us, and you in this case, to be at that level of the action, what was happening in this country. And again, one of those only in America moments.
That's correct. I feel very, very fortunate. The National Education Association, in my view, paved my road to the White House in 1997.
Take a moment and picture in your mind igniting your child's journey to lifelong success from an early age. With Yes, Our Kids Can, this vision becomes a reality right from preschool. Don't miss this chance to shape your child's path towards extraordinary success. Enroll in the Yes, Our Kids Can University now and witness the remarkable impact it can have on your child's growth and development. Secure your child's bright future today. Sign up now by clicking the link below.
Well, I remember for me, I had an experience as the district manager for Marriott. Had done very well. Our stores had always progressed to be top performers. And, I can remember being referred to in Marriott as that Mexican kid. And I just kept working harder, and they said, "Where's that Mexican kid? Send him. Where's that Mexican kid? Send him." And then it was, "Hey, where's David Ibarra? Send him." And I'll never forget that this saying that two things you need to achieve success is capital and talent. And know which one you represent. I knew I didn't have the capital. I just had to look at my bank account. And so I had to set myself up to be really the go-to person in talent. And I just refused to fail. I don't care how hard it was, how long I had to work, I was not going to fail. And no one would outwork me. So I got the opportunity to buy the Farrell's franchise in Salt Lake City, a place I said I'd never go back. And of course, there was a different me when I went back. I wasn't the angry youth that I was. Mm-hmm. I understood that the people that helped me and changed my life, Sam Francis, Isla and Cecil Smith, our last foster care parents, were all good people from Salt Lake City, Utah. And I was happy to go back and join you, who was teaching there. So I opened the Farrell's, and things went real well. And I remember working so hard. I worked 356 days without a day off. That included Christmas and every holiday. I'd go in and do repairs or something. I was going to not fail. And then the unthinkable occurred. I owned Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor restaurant. I opened up the first tavern in a major shopping center in Utah, which wasn't easy. I open up That's a Pizza Pancho. I open up Ibarra's El Numero Uno Mexican restaurant. How could it get any better than this? Anywhere you dined, if it was table service, I owned it. Oh boy, I had a little skip in my walk, and I was a little cocky. Then I got called in to the Fashion Place Mall office, and I said, well, they must be going to make an announcement. And of course they'd call me. I was the vice president of the Merchants Association. And they had this model on the desk, and they unveiled it to me, and it was they were going to move the theaters out and put in a food court. And as soon as they said food court, I could feel my heart fall into my stomach. I said, oh, no. And I looked closely where my locations were, and I was no longer there. And that's when I learned that sometimes your train's on the wrong track. And I was shared that none of my leases were going to be renewed, and I would be out of business. And in the end, I did not make it through the entire process of winding down, and I ended up having to file a bankruptcy business-wise, and it was embarrassing and lost everything. And I went from millionaire on paper to having $254 in my pocket, starting over. And I thought, what in the world? Who would need my services? And I remember in the bar that I had that a lot of automobile dealers and high-end managers came in, and they always had a fistful of dollars. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to take my services and try to reinvent how automobiles are sold. So I started at the very top, I thought, serving guests like you, selling cars, learned it, wrote a white paper, gave it to a friend who suggested that I go see Henry Day Ford. I became the general manager of the Ford dealership within 3 years from the time I started, which is unheard of, and built that thing into a showcase dealership. And we were showcased at the national at the new car dealers show, and that every new car franchise owner goes to. And there we were on the big screen talking about processes, and I found my niche. But another great lesson: how do you overcome adversity or defeat and not let it destroy you? And remember, the thought that went through my head, Mickey, was, hell, I lost everything. How long did it take me to get that? About 10 years. Well, with what I know now, I ought to be able to do it in 5. So I did it in 3, and I tell you what, greatest lesson that I ever learned, and it was an incredible experience. And I remember I went somewhere, and I was a little embarrassed. I was selling cars, and somebody asked, well, what do you do, Mickey? And you shared with them what it was. David, what do you do? My brother's selling cars, as if I had the most prestigious job in the world, always proud of everything that I was doing. And I'm always thankful for you for that. Let's move to what I like to call overdrive, green light. This is when we finally figured it out and everything comes together, the high points of really being good at what you do. And I think that will start with you, with a phone call you got from the White House.
Yes, a surprising phone call from the White House after President Clinton's re-election in 1996, where I had taken a leave of absence from the NEA to assist the campaign as an employee of the campaign. Well, following that experience, I felt that I'd return, and I did return to the NEA to a new job that they had offered. I actually had told the executive director of the NEA that I was done. Winning a presidential re-election campaign, it would never get as good as that. It would never be as good as that again in my life in politics. And I wanted to do something else. And so they gave me an opportunity to get into an area of international relations. It said, would you like to be the manager of international relations? I didn't even know we had one. Let me go try it. And lo and behold, I started my new responsibilities at the NEA. And not long after, received a phone call from the newly designated Chief of Staff to President Clinton, Erskine Bowles, asking if I would come down and visit with him. I couldn't believe Erskine Bowles was calling me. What? I went lickety-split. I was probably 3 blocks from the White House at the NEA, man. I think I sprinted down there before they changed their mind. And had a very nice visit. It was just Erskine and I in a side office in the old executive office building. He actually hadn't started his position as Chief of Staff. He had just been announced that he would be taking over as Chief of Staff. And he was on a mission to make some changes in the senior White House staff, and also to help President Clinton keep his commitment to have a White House team surround him that looked like America. Mm-hmm. And so I was offered an opportunity to join the White House, and I said no. To this day, David, I'm not sure really exactly what overcame me, but I do have a hint. For kids that grow up without anything, and when you just work your way up to where you really feel like you're making a success and bringing home a decent paycheck, and the benefits that go with that of sick leave, of insurance, of health care, letting go of that security, that economic security blanket, was almost my undoing as far as having a White House experience. And I was loving my new position and so on and so forth. And I was being offered a position that I thought was below really what I should be seen as.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And I was asked, well, what would you be interested in? I said, a top job. I'm basically a deputy. I'm basically a deputy now.
Right.
And I'm doing good at it. And I can continue to help the president right from that position, and I will. Okay, well, I really never expected to hear from them again, David. Never. Mm-hmm. And about a month later, I get a phone call. Okay, you said you wanted a top job, assistant to the president and director of intergovernmental affairs.
Wow.
When can you start? And so the rest is history. On June 6, 1997, I showed up at the West Wing of the White House to take over my new office, 1 floor above the Oval Office of the president.
Wow.
And boy, what a ride for 4 years, really having to step it up. And after that experience, realizing that it was much more than me. It was about our community. It was about our country. And I was working for a president that I believed in, and I believed in the agenda. It was just a great opportunity. As I say, I enjoyed every day at the White House, not every minute, but every day. It was really a great privilege. One, I'll always be grateful to Erskine Bowles and to President Clinton, who made all that possible. It was really that experience at the White House that really set up the next chapter, of course, which was my business.
Tell me a little bit about that, and we'll end our careers, your side of it, with sharing what you did. What did you do after the White House?
Yes, and of course, David, that's where you played a big role in all of that. I was fortunate enough to be offered a position, of course, to return to the National Education Association. They were under no obligation to offer me a position back, but they did. But yet, in discussing with you again and again and again, and once again being in a position to having to overcome my fear of failure, that was another reason why I almost lost the opportunity at the White House. It wasn't only economic security, it was my fear of failure. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I can't do that job. Are you kidding me? Assistant to the president. But sucking it up and saying, why not? And you helped convince me that, my gosh, now is the time. Everybody knows you in Washington and the experience you've had. My gosh, you can monetize that. You can help others achieve their objectives in Washington and make $1 or $2 doing it. So go get it done. You've proved. I remember a conversation I had with you. You basically have proven that you're capable of some success, pretty good success in the nonprofit arena. A teacher, a union organizer, a White House staff member. You haven't done a thing in the private sector. Not a thing. Go get it done. Now's the time. And that's how it was that I mustered the courage to open my own business as really an experiment for a year to see if, in fact, for the first time in my life, would attracting a handful of clients be more rewarding professionally and personally for the first time rather than a single employer. And after a year, it was real clear it would be. And I got out of my pajamas every day. I was working in my comfort of my condo and my laptop computer, Gateway, by the way, if anybody remembers them, and open an office downtown, surround myself with some good people that could serve more clients. It was going to work even better. And so that's what we did 20 years ago.
That is great. Congratulations. For me, I went on to run Henry Day, as I had talked about earlier, for 10 years. Got all the experience, and then one day Mr. Day walked in and said, I want to sell the store. Would you negotiate the sale? I trust you, David. And I had a contract with him that said that at the end of 10 years, I was leaving, and I would get 2 years severance package, and or if he sold it. And that 2 years was to enable me to start what I wanted to do, go back into business again in a performance coaching sector. And so we were able to sell that store, and I started business, and I can remember how hard it was to get 10 accounts and then 20 accounts. And, we are lucky today to be the third largest in our field of what we do, representing the largest insurance company portfolio in the country. We have a performance management software where I get to go in and work with employed adults who maybe don't believe in themselves. And, of course, you know who I see every time that I'm working with them. I see me. And how is it that I can help them rid themselves of the chains of not believing that they're doing well at work so that they could conquer work and go home a better parent, a better partner, a better neighbor, and make a better neighborhood, a better city, and a better country, one person at a time. Now today we have, I got to go into something that I thought I just never dreamed possible. Think and Grow Rich changed my life, and I became a disciple of it and read it every day. And it guides me in the combination of the different principles I need to do to help my clients achieve what it is they want. And I went to a certification for all of our associates here at the Ibarra Business Group and decided that I better buy a license. So I bought Mexico, I bought Central America, the Latin Caribbean, China, Singapore. And today we are the largest licensee of Think and Grow Rich seminars in the world.
Wow.
From the kid washing dishes to the largest in the world. And I finished my first book, Stop Drifting. I could hardly read or write. And now I'm an author. And I'm in the middle of finishing my second book, Beyond Think and Grow Rich, and have a third book in mind. And we're just finishing a new film called Beyond Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Thought. And we're going to share how life changed for me with as many people that will listen. And so I look at it like the second part of my life. I haven't worked a day. I have done well. We own a lot of businesses. And it just doesn't get better than this, Mick. Yeah. It just doesn't get better. Let's shift. I want to add something that I'd like to ask you. If you could sum up, what is your life purpose in a phrase, in a few sentences, what would you say?
I am committed, David, to sharing what I've learned in a 45-year professional career with others that may benefit. I started as a teacher, and I want to end as a teacher as well.
Very cool. For me, I want to work with employed adults. Mm-hmm. They get up on Mondays and are suffocating in unhappiness because they don't like what they do for a living, perhaps committing spiritual suicide, and help them conquer work so they can be a better parent, partner, and neighbor, and enjoy the other roles in life, family, faith, community, health, not just wealth. Now, in closing, I want to talk just a little bit about our families. You know, it's something that I know is very important to you as it is to me. Talk to me about your family.
Well, I am the proud father of a terrific daughter, Lena Marie, always known as Lena now. I think I may be the last person that calls her Lena Marie. But always such a cute little thing. I was always told, watch out when she gets to be in high school. She's going to turn into a monster. She never did. And now is happily married to a Purdue graduate, a construction engineer. Lena and Joel have 2 children. Gabriel, who's a freshman at Boulder Creek High School. Lily Jane, my granddaughter, 13 years old, 8th grade, just cutest little kids, just like their mother was. And it's really a joy. I've made a commitment to spend a visit at least once a quarter. I think I've been good for that for a decade, and enjoy it. Never get tired of it. It's fun to do. I've also used time to stay in touch. One of the things that I'm very grateful for and proud of is the relationship that you and I have been able to continue to enjoy, a close one. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's 2 brothers that are closer. Mm-hmm. So, and again, that's an important part of family. Well, we both share half brothers and sisters from various parent combinations. I think it really is the relationship that you and I enjoy, in part because of the common experience that we both had together. Yeah. Early life, middle life, late in life. So it's been family is important. And I've also been so blessed to have so many friends that I care about. I enjoy relationships. I, like you, I'm in the people business. Yeah. I love people. And most of them love me back. Yeah. But even if they don't, I never want to be like them.
Let me ask you something, Mickey. The one thing I think that we've never gotten right was marriage.
Yes.
How long have you been single?
Oh, gosh, I've been single for 14 years now.
And me, about the same.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever take another stab at that?
Well, I learned long ago in Washington to remove no from your vocabulary and never from your vocabulary. So the answer is, I think that's to be determined. Although I do remember being single is a very conscious choice.
Yes,
it's not accidental. Yeah. I'm good at several things, David. Maybe even better than most at a couple of things. Marriage was never one of them. So I kind of reached the conclusion that concentrate on those things that you're good at.
Well, let me just share a little bit about my feelings. I was lucky in that I have one natural son, Nicholas David Ibarra, and it was different in that I wish I would have been able to be there every day, and that he was raised by his mother and sometimes with me. But I'll tell you is that I can have so many memories of the strong points, the hurts that he had, and I got married again and was blessed of that marriage while it didn't last. I got a second son, my stepson, Cassidy, and the thing that I'm most proud of is not my relationship with each one of them, which I absolutely love, but is the relationship they have with each other. It reminds me of us in that they were close. Anything that ever happened growing up while they were at my house half the time, and certainly Cassidy, all of his years until he left the home from 2 to 18, they were close. And I had always wanted to have a lot of kids. And I had promised Nick that I never would have any more kids. And I remember when I thought about it, and I went to him and I said, "Hey, Nick, how would you like to have a brother or a sister?" And he looked at me, he was a little kid, and he says, "Well, okay." He says, "Well, Dad, would that make you a liar?" And I said, "I guess it would." So I never had any more. He was and is my prince, and now soon to be king. But I've got 3 beautiful grandchildren, and Nick Jr. and Berkeley and Kai Ray, whose his middle name Ray is after mine. And I really enjoy, most proud of my sons and the fathers that they are.
Yeah.
Much better than I was, but the fathers that they are. And then lastly, I'd like to just end by saying, we're not done yet. We still got a full quarter. We still got another 20 years. And I tell you what, for me, I feel I'm in my prime. I got more wisdom than I ever had. Physically, I'm set. I'm not giving up on developing a love life that will hopefully be married someday. I look at it, I never got it right, so maybe I ought to try to get it right, but don't need to. And that's different. So that's my part of family, and I hope that, Mickey, that to the last day of our lives, that we'll stay as close as we have been for every day of our life.
I absolutely expect that to happen.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you, Mickey, for the second episode of Conversations with David Ibarra.
A lot of fun. Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
Live ready, reach higher, chase the sky. Beyond thinking, grow rich, you'll learn to fly. With every step forward, the future is bright. Live ready for the dreamer. Ignite your